Okay, there you go. And then we're going to spotlight you. So you're
Thank
the
you.
only one people will see.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay. Good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure to join this panel of such esteemed and accomplished colleagues, and to be able to engage in this dialogue and to share ideas. This is indeed a really broad question, and I've done a lot of work in this area, but I'm going to really focus my comments on access, uh, preparing teachers to provide access for underserved, underrepresented groups. First, let me acknowledge that teaching is actually the single most powerful profession in the society. Teachers prepare the academic and intellectual resources for the nation. Teachers prepare our next generation to participate in and to take responsibility for maintaining a democratic society. So that is indeed a very powerful charge for classroom teachers, and perhaps an even more powerful charge for those who prepare classroom teachers. So the first point I want to make about uh, preparing teachers to provide access for underserved, underrepresented groups is the need for transparency in the preparation process. And what I mean by that is that the planning that our candidates do in order for us to ensure that they actually understand how to think about and engage in planning and facilitating learning for underserved groups requires that their thinking is made visible to us in the planning process. So that's what I really want to emphasize. When we think about the knowledge base for teaching, we're actually talking about understanding learners. We're talking about understanding learners theoretically. We're talking about understanding them culturally, and understanding the context in which they grow and develop. And we're talking about learning as a theoretical construct, but also as a very personalized construct that is influenced by culture and socialization. And we really want to understand how communities work, how people interact, what people value in their communities, and what resources, et cetera, a community has. We want teachers to understand how to fit their subject matter into what their students know and are able to do, and to be able to use appropriate pedagogy to facilitate that. So I just want to mention several tools that I think we need to make sure that all of our candidates are using, who are being prepared to teach students from diverse cultural and experiential backgrounds. The first one is a class profile. Candidates really need to demonstrate that they understand students individually and collectively, and that they understand the patterns of knowledge, and that they can observe the responses of individual students. Candidates need a community profile so that they actually understand what is available in the community, what the community values, what kind of challenges the community faces, et cetera. Candidates need to also use a curriculum map so they're able to properly frame curriculum for particular groups of students based on the subject matter knowledge, et cetera. And the final tool that every candidate needs to be able to use is the tool of documentation. I think that teaching may be the only profession that does not require regular documentation of the practice. And as we can see when we're not documented regularly, that many ethnic minority children will fall behind. And in elementary school, they very often are retained in a particular grade level. And when they're passed on to the next teacher, there's no documentation of what went wrong, when, where, and how, and what kind of interventions may have been tried. And so the child gets to repeat a whole grade and may be repeating the exact same thing. We have a similar kind of a situation in high school where children fail a course and they have to repeat the entire course. I think my time is about up, but I want to just mention one other thing before going, and that is this whole notion about framing the curriculum, about positioning the content within the structure of the discipline, focusing with a clear purpose, and ultimately contextualizing so that our students actually have access. By contextualizing, I mean fitting whatever it is that we're teaching within what the student knows and can do, and within a context that is familiar, and using resources from the community whenever possible. I think my time is about up, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hollins. That was exactly